This video is part 2 of the healing journey. So if you're just starting here, you may want to go back and find part 1 and start at the beginning because we covered a lot to get to this point. We just left off in invalidation, which means your internal world of, hey, I have a problem and I need help. And then you go out into the world and you're trying to get simple solutions from a conventional system who's not equipped to handle your problem, and they can't help your problem. So their next best thing is to try to pretend your problem doesn't exist. And they start to invalidate what you're going through. And that's the point. That's the inflection point where you need to develop a new set of beliefs that will get you across the second gate. And here we are. What's the password? Every gate has a password. You've got to know the magic word to open the gate. And the magic word, again, is formed by your beliefs, because having the right beliefs will start to open up possibilities you couldn't see before. Once you can see this second gate, you can step through it. Old beliefs like there's nothing actually wrong, it's all in my head, I don't look sick, I'm faking it, and it can be tempting to listen to those outside influences. But if you really want to keep going, if you want to get better, if you're worth fighting for, you have to decide and choose to evolve those beliefs. They don't know. I believe in myself. I'll find my own way, right? You reject that outside invalidation. It's painful, it's not easy, but it will make you strong, and it gives you the guts to start to see this second gate and start to walk through it. A very clean way to summarize the beliefs that will get you through the second gate: I'm not going to lay down and die. There must be a way, and I will find it. Passing through this second gate requires belief in yourself and the ability to ignore the doubting voices of the medical establishment or anyone else who doesn't understand what you're going through, even if it's people you love very dearly. The cube represents the fact that your condition is not simple, right? Not simple like a square. It's complicated. It's a little more complicated, so we're going to represent that with a cube. It's complicated at the very least, and it will require more time, energy, and expertise to untangle something that's not simple. So in phase 1, you were stuck in a system of simplicity, where they were looking at your mountain through a telescope and telling you it looked like a triangle, right? Great. In phase 2, we're entering the realm of complication, and you can start to see we have a different tool here. We've got a microscope. So I'm going to zoom out here. Look, you see the little mountain, right? This. It's like they took a little tiny sample of your problem, your mountain to climb. They've got a little tiny sample and they're going to zoom right in on it as far as they can. This is the lens. This is the way we're thinking about problem solving in this second phase. So what's going on here once we've crossed the second gate? Well, the telescope was invalidating, so we're trying something different. We're going to specialists, alternative practitioners, people who have a different take on your specific problem. So then what happens? Well, you're going to get a complicated diagnosis because we're out of the land of simplicity, right? So your diagnosis is going to be complicated. You're going to get a complicated treatment, which I tend to summarize as the shotgun approach. What does this look like? 30 supplements, treatment plans that keep changing every 2 weeks, right? There's going to be a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts, very complicated. Sometimes you'll get great success from that. Wonderful. If you're on the top line, you're healed, you're done, you're back to living your life, no problem. You just got off the merry-go-round, right? Most people that I meet wind up with mild success from a complicated treatment. What does that mean? Some of the symptoms go down. They're not exactly sure what's doing what. Sometimes the symptoms can come back. Sometimes they can come back worse. Sometimes they have to constantly keep changing protocols, and it can just be a lot to manage. So what else can happen here? Well, we could get an oversimplified diagnosis from a specialist or an alternative practitioner. And in that case, we're going to get an oversimplified treatment, and we're going to get either mild success from that, which is good, or no luck. Because again, we already know that your problem doesn't live in the land of simplicity. That was back in the first gate, first phase, right? That didn't work. We're in the second gate, second phase. So we're moving from simplicity to complication. So these oversimplified diagnoses where they say, oh yeah, it's just this one missing mineral that you're out of, or this one special disease-causing pathogen. We just need to kill that and then you'll be all set. Oversimplified. So what these kinds of interactions tend to look like is the person doesn't even see the mountain you're talking about. They're so zoomed in on one reduced little particle that they're trying to study on a lab report. According to these samples, it looks like your mountain is made of a lot of tiny stones, sand, and soil with traces of plant matter. We'll need to do more testing in 6 months to figure out the mineral content. I'll talk to you then, right? I know I'm being kind of cheeky here too. I've got a lot of friends that practice this type of medicine. They do a good job. They're well-intentioned, and people who have problems that they can solve are thrilled. However, we're here for the people who fall through those cracks as well. That's why I'm here. I've seen way too many stories like this. So here's someone who's in phase 2. They've passed the second gate. They've hired a specialist doctor. However, this person's a little confused because this doctor seems to be very knowledgeable and respected. However, after countless supplements, many protocols, I'm making zero progress, right? Because what do we see? This is a complicated treatment. The doctor told me I would get better after 6 weeks, but 4 months later, it seems that I'm worse off. I've moved, left most of my belongings behind, tested the new home. What does one do after having tried everything? Do I get a new doctor, right? Maybe doctors are not the answer. My current doctor changes the protocol every few weeks. And we can see this kind of mind space where this is a person who's in phase 2 and they're looking at complicated solutions and they're thinking, maybe I can get a different person with a different complicated solution to my problem. Do I change doctors, right? Changing protocols, changing supplements, changing doctors, but staying in phase 2. This is really important because as we start to map out this healing journey, we can start to see, just like I'm showing you with these screenshots, I've kept the privacy intact, right? But I'm showing you representative people where it's not just one person who feels this way. There's so many people going through this. And once we start to see this, I can pinpoint this person's not in the land of simplicity right now, right? This person has passed the first gate. This person's passed the second gate, but this person's stuck because they haven't passed the third gate. And we can tell, right? You can just start to tell based on the beliefs and the questions. So I want to give you some of these ideas so that you can start to check your own belief system, the questions you're having, where you're feeling stuck, and you'll know exactly where you are and what needs to change so you can move forward. A hallmark of these complicated treatments is the shotgun approach. So let's talk about that in a little more detail. What is the shotgun approach? Well, when you're trying to heal your body from a complex chronic health condition like Lyme, fibro, mold exposure, those kinds of things, right? Chronic fatigue syndrome. You're taking all these different supplements and therapies and all these exercises and whatever seems like a good idea, and you're just doing it all, right? Doing it all. Throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. That's the shotgun approach. If you're doing this, don't feel bad. I'm not here to criticize you, right? I'm going to help you through it so that you can start to clean up and refine your approach and your strategy. In this phase, we tend to seek out experts and alternative practitioners and specialists. Oftentimes, they're complicated without even knowing it. A lot people don't have language around this, but I'm articulating this so that you can know what realm you're in. And we stay in the complicated realm. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes we get some success. Sometimes we don't. Oftentimes, the shotgun approach leaves a little bit to be desired. And in that case, our belief system of, I'm not going to lay down and die, there must be a way and I will find it, right? That doesn't let us quit. So in this second phase, we've seen the specialists, the alternative practitioners. We've gotten our complicated diagnosis, our complicated treatment, shotgun approach, right? Maybe we got some great success and we're back, we're better, we're living our lives. In most cases, it's going to be mild success or no luck. And what happens at that point? Well, our beliefs have to evolve, right? Because we already said, I'm not going to lay down and die. There must be a way. I will find the way, right? I'm going to do my own research. That's where we're going next. And that's where we enter what can be a little bit of an isolating part of the healing journey, and that's the lonely path. The lonely path is defined by late nights on forums, Facebook groups, YouTube, Google, and feeling the overwhelm of information overload. Because these days we have an information age. So when we go looking for more information, we will find it, and it's like trying to drink out of a fire hose. And this is what it looks like. Go into Google, very straightforward. How to help mold illness. And already we can see the auto suggests, right? There are plenty of other people asking these same questions. This isn't just you. You're not alone. There's plenty of others who are on this. It feels like a lonely path, but just look, how would Google know people are trying to find out all this stuff if people weren't trying to find out all this stuff? And why are people trying to find out all this stuff? Because their simple solutions didn't work. Their complicated solutions didn't work. And now they're taking it into their own hands and they're becoming a medical researcher. Right? This is a lonely path. It's isolating. It can be discouraging. It can last a long time. But again, it's important. Just like invalidation in the first phase, it's difficult going through this. But when you come out the other side, the character traits you develop, the new beliefs you develop, the faith in yourself you develop, it's going to serve you as you progress. So what happens when we do our search, how to help mold illness? We get 10.5 million results, basically. Right? How are you supposed to go through all that? How are you supposed to navigate all that information to find your next step on your path, especially if you got brain fog or something like that, right? How are you supposed to do this? So we get flooded with information, and this belief about I need more information quickly starts to change. So maybe we start to get a little more savvy with our searching, right? We go to Google Scholar instead, where it's all just publications and peer-reviewed science literature and that kind of thing, right? We're trying to get a little more precise. I'm looking for brain fog, right? Again, look at all these auto-suggests. People are searching for this. It's affecting a lot of people. You're not alone. Right? But even on Google Scholar, look for brain fog. What do we get? 138,000 results. How are you supposed to figure all this out? So another way is to go into forums and start asking people. So for example, how many posts in health forums have you seen where someone's asking what's worked for your brain fog, or what helps Lyme, or what binders did you use to detox, or some other kind of question about a mechanical solution? Again, trying to oversimplify a complex problem. And even then, when we go to forums, what happens? You get 10,000 answers from 10,000 individuals that are very well intentioned, right? But these people are different from you. None of them are in your same specific situation. So it's tempting to hope that reasoning by analogy, right? Analogy means comparing, like, oh, if it worked for them, it should work for me. I'll just try to copy this solution somebody on a forum told me, right? But oftentimes that can backfire, because if you do something somebody suggested and you're kind of taking it on your own to do it, you might not even know if it's safe for you or not. And you might try it and then it might work or it might not. And how many times can you try and fail before you start running out of mojo? You have to protect that. You got to preserve that. So this is what tends to happen as we start asking random people on the internet for advice, which can be helpful. It can. And having the community support can be like game changing, right? Because this is a lonely path otherwise. But you still have a lot of complicated solutions just piling up. And these are some of the beliefs along the lonely path. I need more information. This is complex. Where do I start, right? Complex problems require complex solutions. I don't know what to do. And we know it's complex because complicated solutions didn't work. And I'm going to get into the difference between what's complicated and what's complex, because this is really important for you to understand. We work with complex chronic health problems, complex chronic inflammatory conditions, right? Not complicated, complex. It's a whole different beast, and it's on the other side of the third gate. We'll continue across the third gate in the Healing Journey Part 3.